Hello everyone and welcome to the Pokebattler website. My name is Famous from FLW Videos, and in today's episode we're going to be talking a little bit more about the Pokemon Thundurus, which will of course be released into Pokemon Go. We'll cover those top 6 counters, but let's go ahead and learn a little bit more about Thundurus and why you might want to be excited to go ahead and catch this Pokemon. So first things first, this Pokemon is a dual type of electric as well as the flying type. And as you can see, as far as its CP is concerned, it's not going to necessarily be that bad. And especially when we go over to some of those stats, some of the kind of highlights that stick out is definitely going to be the attack stat. Number 1, come on, that looks amazing. An attack stat of 266 with a current rank of 28th in that attack stat. As far as its defense and stamina is concerned, those are going to be a little bit more lackluster overall, but as we know, luckily for us in Pokemon Go, the attack stat tends to be heavily favored, especially on the PvP side. So once again, we're of course going to have to dive into that, which I will be doing once this Pokemon officially gets released. And of course, once we actually know the moveset that officially gets assigned to it. So make sure that you do subscribe to my main channel to go ahead and stick around for that. But let's go ahead and jump into the top 6 counters. So let's jump into the counters. We're actually going to start off at the number 6 spot, and that is Glaceon. So definitely exciting to see Glaceon. Glaceon acts a little bit more like a glass cannon if you want to go ahead and look at it that way. But because you have Thundurus with that part flying type, the ice type Pokemon is definitely going to go ahead and attack that. So anyways, as far as the ideal moveset is concerned, you want to go with Frost Breath and then Avalanche. And then when we take a look at the ratings, we're looking good on damage, good on consistency, but the bulk just isn't there, hence why we refer to it as a glass cannon. When we go ahead and take a look at alternative movesets, this can just be a really good opportunity for you to save TMs if you don't have the ideal moveset. It may not end up being that big of a deal, and what we can see is that there really isn't that big of a drop in performance if you use Ice Shard Avalanche or if you use Frost Breath Ice Beam. So if you have any of these combinations instead of just the main one, just keep that in mind that the performance doesn't drop that much, so you can save yourself some TMs in that case. When we take a look at the rankings at level 35, we're seeing some pretty good numbers, especially related to the estimator and then the time to win. But of course, we unfortunately are going to see a little bit of a slouch when we get into those powers and potions, but it still maintains an overall ranking of 9th in this case. Up next is going to be the defenses. So for the defenses, we've got a lot of neutral situations, but we are going to have to look out for Brick Break, assuming that it does end up staying there, just because it's going to end up being super effective. So just kind of keep a lookout for that and maybe opt for something else if you go up against the Thundurus with that moveset. As far as doing some solos are concerned, with Glaceon, it is going to take at least 2 people to be able to do that. But hey, if you're up for a challenge, Glaceon could end up being a very good option. So let's go ahead and shift into the number 5 spot, and that is Tyranitar. So definitely excited to see Tyranitar here. And as far as the ideal moveset that you want to go with, it's going to have to be that Smackdown Stone Edge, with Smackdown being the Community Day exclusive move when we had it for Tyranitar a long time ago. If you don't have it, you're going to see a major drop in performance. The next best is a Bite Stone Edge, which is currently a part of its regular moveset, so you could definitely TM over to that. Just know it is going to be a 20% drop in performance, so maybe you might not want to opt to use Tyranitar if you don't have Smackdown. Anyways, we got a 5-star or a 4-star on the damage, a 3-star on the consistency, and a 2-star on the bulk, so we're really not seeing a lot of bulk in this case. Once again, it's going to come down to those movesets that Thundurus has, but we're seeing some more consistent numbers in this case, an overall ranking of 4th for Tyranitar. But man, oh man, you are definitely going to have to watch out for Brick Breaks. So that's just kind of been like the theme of today's episode. So let's go ahead and jump into the number 3 spot. Once again, we got another Pokemon that might have to look out for those Brick Breaks, but it's going to be a little bit different in this case. So anyways, let's go ahead and take a look at it. We are going to go with Smackdown and Rock Slide in this case, so yet again, another rock type attacker on this list, and we're seeing a major drop in performance, so you definitely want Smackdown and Rock Slide if you do want to use Terrakion. We've got a 5-star on the damage, 2-star on the bulk, and then a 4-star on the consistency, so it's been very similar to that on this back half, and we're seeing some very consistent numbers, an overall ranking of 3rd at level 35. And then we're seeing a little bit of a spread. We've got some weaknesses versus that Brick Break. We actually have some resistances versus crunches because of picking up that fighting type. And then we've got some neutral situations. So Terrakion could end up being a solid option. Up next is Mamoswine. So Mamoswine, a very exciting Pokemon, somewhat considered to be a glass cannon, so let's go ahead and take a look at it. We've got Powdered Snow and Avalanche, so not the Community Day exclusive move of Ancient Power. That's very important. And as far as the drop in performance, yeah, it's going to be massive, so you want to have Powdered Snow and Avalanche if you plan to use a Mamoswine in this case. We're finally seeing something different on the ratings where we have a 5-star in the damage. That's actually the first one we've seen today. And then we've got a 4-star on the bulk and a 3-star on the consistency. So honestly, Mamoswine, looking good for sure. And then as far as the numbers are concerned, I mean, this is the best that we have seen so far. But of course, there are 2 more Pokemon to come after this. An overall ranking of 2nd in at that level 35. So that's definitely going to be a great one. And then we're seeing quite a bit of resistances out of that Thunder. And then of course, Thunder Punch. But once again, a weakness to Brick Break. So far what we've discussed, we haven't really seen any Pokemon that can kind of handle that Brick Break, so we're just going to have to check out the final 2 and then maybe come up with another potential option along the way. So let's go ahead and jump into the number 2 spot. We've got Rhyperior. So Rhyperior is kind of new to this list overall, and that is because it gained the Community Day exclusive move recently of Rock Wrecker. So Rock Wrecker is going to be amazing. You could technically still do okay with the Smackdown Stone Edge, but hopefully you've got yourself a Rock Wrecker, and then of course you give yourself a reason to use it in this case. Check out these ratings. That is absolutely amazing. We got 5-star, 5-star, and then a 4-star on the consistency. And ladies and gentlemen, we have the overall ranking of 1 at level 35 with Rhyperior, so very excited about that Pokemon. But guess what? It's a very similar situation that we saw with Mamoswine as well. We got some double resistances going on, but Brick Break, once again, kind of causing a little bit of a problem among this, but we're going to go ahead and check back in on the solos, by the way. Still not able to do it with less than 2 people. 2 people is going to be the best that you could possibly do until we get into the number 1 spot, and that is Rampardos. Rampardos, the glass cannon, the one that can just absolutely put out the damage, is getting the number 1 ranking in this case. We got a Smackdown and then a Rock Slide in this case. 5-star on damage, 5-star on consistency, but a 1-star on the bulk. We all know the story. It is an absolute glass cannon in this case. But hey, it puts out the damage. It does have an overall ranking of 5th at level 35. So that's something to consider. But once again, we got a big issue with that Brick Break because all 6 that we covered today are unfortunately weak to Brick Break. So we may end up having to come up with an alternative option. And speaking of alternative options, go ahead and head over to the Pokebattler website. Check out some of the Pokemon that rank a little bit lower. And then go ahead and filter it over to Brick Break so you can develop a team specifically for that moveset. Hopefully you did enjoy it, and I will see you next time.